5,000. That's a pretty big number. That's like the amount of fingers I have on my hands times 4,990. Or it's the amount of things in this picture that I just found right now and I'm not editing in later. So I think we've all had that thought at one point or another of what would it sound like if 5,000 different instruments played the exact same thing at the exact same time. So today we're gonna be breaking a brand new record, but there's a couple logistical things that I think we need to deal with first. So I think the most amount of instruments I've ever seen played at the same time is 1,000. In this one video where they got 1,000 musicians together to play Rebel Rebel by David Bowie. Now, I love this song, and this video is fantastic as well. I find there's just something beautiful about watching 1,000 people come together and play this one song. It's very unifying, but I have a problem with it. Now, maybe it's just my own personal observation, but I would be willing to bet that there was a lot of post-production done in the audio department in this video, because there is just no way that hundreds of guitars, basses, and voices can all stay in tune throughout the duration of a 4-minute song. Now, if a few people fell out of tune, it wouldn't be a big deal because they would just get drowned out by the quantity of everybody else. But if there's like 300 guitar players that are slightly falling out of tune, or a couple voices that are singing off key, and just a different assortment of micro ranges, then that would be a disastrous result. So just to demonstrate what I'm really talking about here, so it's like I got my guitar right here. We're in standard tuning, right? But then if you go in here, it's like, oh, you knock your E, like, you know, 16 cents out of tune. And then you knock your A slightly out, and then if somebody's really going at it and their D is like, you know, 17 cents up, slightly, see, it's like they're not that off, but when you put them all together, you start getting chords that sound like this. That doesn't sound too good. And then when you get several people doing that, it's just a mess. So if you were there in person, it probably sounded something more like this. So with this example, I was trying to figure out how on earth one person was gonna do this with 5,000 different instruments. So the conclusion that I came to was to do all 5,000 instruments as MIDI tracks. Like, I was thinking about calling my 5,000 person orchestra, but these were kind of some of the things that I had concerns with about it. And that's also why I thought too, hey, let's make all the instruments computers so they are all 100% in tune. So now there's the process of creating this monstrosity. So it started with me just wanting to make something just quick and easy. So I just made this very short 8-bar guitar line, and then I just made a MIDI version of it in Guitar Pro. So I exported the MIDI track from Guitar Pro and I moved it over to Cubase, and I started assigning a bunch of different VSTs to each line.
VST stands for Virtual Studio Technology. VST instruments emulate the appearance and sound of famous instruments and hardware synthesizers.
So many sounds to choose from. So I'll just assign the first VST on the list here to the first MIDI track. And there we go, one track is done. Now we have to do this 5,000 more times. Now, it didn't take me very long to discover that my computer, it didn't have the processing power to handle 5,000 tracks playing at the same time without it literally getting hotter than the sun and fucking exploding. So I had to take a new approach to do this by making a very tedious task even more tedious by adding in another step just to make it doable. I had to have 20 MIDI tracks on a project at one time, and every time I'd add a VST to the 20 different tracks, I'd have to export the whole file and then start it all over again. And I did this all the way up to 5,000 by exporting it in groups of 20, just for the sake of saving my computer from a terrible fate. And I did this over and over again for hours and hours, on and off, for the course of 5 months. So for all the effort that I went to make this video for you guys, make sure to hit the like. So here we are, we're finally at the end.
Oh yes. Very good.
I just have to put all these tracks together here and we'll hear what this 5,000 person MIDI orchestra will sound like. My early prediction is that it's gonna sound like one of those weird videos where somebody takes a clip and then copies it a million times and then they play them all at the same time. You know what I'm talking about?
You like jazz? You like jazz? You like jazz?
So now that it's complete, let's just hit the play button and see how it sounds. Yeah, that sounds really bad. Okay, now for a laugh, let's throw some distortion on it. So bad. All right, well that sounded atrocious. I don't really know what I was expecting, to be honest, but I mean, I don't know, there you go. If you want to know what 5,000 instruments sounds like, there you go. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a very weird experiment and it took me a very long time to make it. So now this is the point in the video where I do all the YouTuber stuff and I say, hey, if you like this, hit the subscribe button and with the bell and then all the social medias that are down in the description there. I really don't like plugging this stuff, but hey, you gotta play the game, right? That's just how you do the YouTube. So guys, with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this once again and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.